everybody, this is Caitlin here, and welcome back to our spoiler discussions for this week. As you know, each week we are going through the starter deck spoilers for Force of Will, because those will be coming out in August, which is pretty soon actually. I just realised we're near the end of July now. It's like, oh my gosh, where has the time gone for this year? But anyway, this week we are looking at the red starter deck, which I believe is called Blood of Dragons, and we are looking at an entirely new, subsection, or new, or kind of older race of dragonoids, actually. These dragonoids are different from the ones who come from Grimm's World, because these ones are, well, I think the best way to describe them is more prehistoric. They're not actually human in nature. They're definitely more dragon in nature. So looking at our first one here, we have the Apprentice Cook, who is actually looking quite adorable, actually. I think I'm quite digging this kind of design. He's kind of like a gecko-y kind of dragon. He kind of looks like he's got some weird dreadlock hair coming out the back there, but he's looking awesome. He's a 1-drop red. He is 300, 400. When this card enters your field, you can put 2 strength counters on your J-Ruler. So similar to how the pandas have gems, it seems like our Dragonoid ruler, or our Dragonoids here, are going to be dealing with strength counters, which is think of mana counters or whatever. You can spend them or whatever for your different cards, whatever to do with your J-Ruler and everything like that. I realise I say whatever quite a lot when I'm trying to discuss these things, but whatever. Going on to our next card here, we have a spell, or rather a chant, but it's got a different kind of subsection. So before we had Ancient Magic, now we have Battle Arts, which is really, really interesting. It's a quick cast one. It's called Burning Awakening. It is 2 red, has quick cast, obviously, explaining what quick cast is, and as an additional cost to play this card, remove 5 strength counters from your J-Ruler. Okay. Target J/Resident gains 1000 until end of turn, so this is pretty good. I think, wasn't there a similar card or whatever back in Lapis Cluster? It got a Vingo 3 reprint or whatever, or rather a full art version of it. I think it's like the Inspirational Jutsu or something like that, but that one's like a 3 cost or something. I think that's what it is. But I think that this gives like 1000. This one is kind of slightly cheaper, but you have to remove counters from the J-Ruler, obviously. So depending on how easily you can get counters on the J-Ruler will probably depend on how good this is. But the artwork is looking pretty sick, though. I'm not going to lie. The Dragonoids are looking pretty neat in this version of them. Next up, we have another chant, a battle art. This one's not quick cast. This one is called Dragon Breath. We've got some, it looks like the Dragon Champion or whatever. He's clinging onto this is a flying dragon. He looks like he's not too happy to be carrying this guy about, to be honest. This is a 3 cost chant. It's 1 red and 2 void. As an additional cost to play this card, remove X amount of strength counters from J-Ruler. This card deals X amount of damage to each J/Resident without flying. So this is pretty good to deal hatred to those decks that don't have any flyers. Sadly, this also says to each J/Resident, so that includes yours. So sadly, if you've got stuff that ain't got flying, it is going to die. It's going to sizzle up. It's going to get burned up in that Dragon Breath. Next up, we have another Resonator. This time, not a Dragonoid, it's just a plain off dragon. It is Dragon of, I believe this is Mount Hoel, or Mount, I don't know if this meant to be Hole or Hoel. I'm going to say Hoel because that sounds fancier, and obviously, don't know if that's just Mount or Mountain. I would like to think Mount or something like that. Well, Mountain would make more sense because I think they're meant to live in the mountains, or the pandas live in the mountains, don't they? So, I'm quite sure. We'll need to see a map of this new region or whatever. I don't know what the world's called at all yet. This one is a 4 cost Resonator. My apologies, the screen is glaring and I cannot actually see the numbers. It is a 4 cost Resonator with 3 fire and 1 void. It's a 15/15. That is pretty hefty for a 4-drop. That is insane. It has flying, thankfully, so it's protected from that last spell there. This card cannot attack unless you remove 2 strength counters from your J-Ruler, and this card cannot block unless you remove 2 strength counters from J-Ruler. So it has got quite a good cost or whatever for 15/15. Obviously, the downside is that you need to remove counters, but I believe you can earn counters quite easily. You pay 2 red, and this card deals 300 damage to target /Resonator. So probably you're not going to use that other effect very often. I feel like you're going to get this in, and you are going to swing away and just remove all those counters. You are not caring about removing them. Oh, we also have this new one, which is really interesting. It's called Elia Rua, the Combat Chef, which is really interesting, and I kind of think it's funny how we've got 2 examples of 2 kind of animal races, if you want to call them that, or not traditionally human races like we got described that we were going to get, and the representation of the females of their race is actually kind of interesting. So obviously we got this lizard here, this dragonoid girl, and she's actually looking pretty cool. I like her. She's got kind of this kind of battle armor here, but she's a chef, so that's kind of neat, and she's kind of got this kind of cute snake mouth or whatever. I think she's adorable. I like her. She's a 3 cost. She's 2 fire and 1 void. 800. She basically taps and you recover your J-Ruler, which is pretty much awesome. Well, actually, it's recover your ruler, so not the J-Ruler side, just the ruler side. I should point that out before I make any mistakes, because those are technically different. So I should point that out. Fair enough. I should point that out. Don't want to get mixed up here, whatever. But she does look really cool. I'm not quite sure what it is that she's cooking up. It looks like some kind of plant, or is it kind of a meat? I don't know. It looks really weird. Next up we have Hellflame, which is hella sick if you get my drift with this artwork. It is looking pretty awesome. It is a 1-cost quick cast, but it's another battle art. As an additional cost to play this card, remove X amount of strength counters from your J-Ruler. This card deals X amount of damage to target J/Resonator. So this one is target, doesn't affect your stuff unless you want to kill your stuff, although why would you want to kill your stuff? But very interesting. Obviously it's got the thing where you need to remove the things, but if you've like gathered up a whole lot of like counters or whatever, then you could just use this to like annihilate something pretty easily, which is very nice indeed. And then next up we have Whale Pig, which is like the cutest artwork I have ever seen. Way cuter than Flute's dragon. FYI, it is the cutest. It is 1-cost fire. It's 400-300. It is a beast. It's not a very happy piggy. You banish this card and you recover your ruler. So again, another way for you to recover your ruler. And at the bottom here it says, the pigs of Mount Whale are a favoured delicacy. So the dragonoids are clearly eating pigs, which makes me feel a little bit sad for this pig here. But this pig is perfect and I love it so much. It is adorable. Put pig in every single deck ever and you will win the game. Next up we have, I'm going to pronounce this wrong and I apologise, I'm going to butcher this, Hoelosaurus, or something like that. I'm not too sure. It is a 2-cost red. It is 6/6, as my screen tries to glare. My apologies, I can't see the damn card. When this card enters your field, it deals 300 damage to target J/Resonator. It kind of looks like a hell beast velociraptor. It's got this weird tail thing, which I'm not quite sure if it's feathers or whether it's on fire. I don't know if it's setting its own tail on fire and using that as a weapon. That sounds pretty metal, if you ask me, and it's got all these spikes coming out of it. Its head just looks like it's a skull. There's barely any flesh on that thing, or it's like the colour of it kind of just looks like it's like just its skull or whatever, but it is looking rad as all hell, and I approve of you, Hoelosaurus. You rock on. Next up we have, okay, I'm going to butcher this again, my apologies, Carrick Rerick. This is a really weird name. The dragonoids in this world seem to have really weird names for their race. But he is the red ruler, whatever. His judgment is 3, which is 2 fire and 1 void. He obviously comes with red energized because he is the red ruler. At the beginning of the game, you put 10 strength counters on this card. So again, you'll need some different colored dice and all that stuff to differentiate between your energize and your strength counters and all that stuff. And at the bottom here, we also have his sealed ability, which is a different symbol than the panda. So I'm guessing all the sealed abilities are going to be different and they're going to do different things for the different J rulers and everything like that. And at the bottom here, it says the Red Warrior Dragonoid Clan holds a contest of strength every year. Carrick Rerick is their latest champion. So he's not their leader, he's their latest champion. So I guess they have, like, you know, I'm going to, like, I'm not going to assume things about the Dragonoids here, but I'm going to guess their champion is obviously an important person to their culture, you know, if he's the strongest and all that stuff. Seems he'd be a very important figurehead of the Dragonoids if they don't technically have a ruler, or rather a, like, a kind of leader, like the Panda King. Maybe they don't have a king, or some kind of emperor clan leader or something like that. I'm not too sure. But when he flips over, he becomes Carrick Rerick, the Draconic Warrior, and he's looking mighty fine. And just to point out here, our boy Sigma is the artist for Carrick here, and you know, if you know Sigma, he's the artist for Sylvia, which kind of makes sense, or whatever, because you know Sylvia was from the Red Dragon clan of Ataratica, and then this guy is from the Red Dragon clan of this world. We don't have a name for it yet, I do believe. There's no name, but I guess we'll find out the name soon enough once we get diving into it. He is a 12,000, 1,000 J ruler Dragonoid, obviously. He has precision, which means you can attack recovered resonators. When this card enters the field, you put X amount of strength counters on this card, where X is 15 minus the number of strength counters on this card. So basically, I think that means any of the leftover any of the leftover counters from when he was on his ruler side are deducted from 15 or whatever when you flip. So you probably want to try and spend as many as you can before you flip him over. That way you can get 15 when you flip. And you can remove 5 strength counters from this card, and this deals 500 damage to target J/Resonator. So basically, that's like a free lightning bolt or lightning strike, whatever we want to call it. But you know, you're removing counters. I feel like you want to keep the counters on him because you can use it with your other spells and whatnot. So you maybe don't want to use it for that. You could just run lightning strikes and use that instead, and you wouldn't have to remove your counters. And obviously, he's still got his sealed ability at the bottom here, so can confirm it seems like the sealed abilities will be able to be used on both sides of the ruler and J ruler. Next up, we have Kirk's partner, which is this familiar dragon thing that we saw from before, who is not a dragonoid, apparently, he's just a normal dragon. So there is a difference, clearly, between these two races. He is a 3 cost, it is 1 fire and 2 void, a 6/6, so a bit on the cheaper side for a 3 cost, whatever. He has flying. When this card enters the field, you can put target Battle Arts Chant from your graveyard into your hand, and your J-Ruler gains flying. So at least with his partner out here, our boy Kirk can fly over and just hack away with his mighty machete, which is totally not Leviton, guys. Don't worry about it. It's totally not the demon sword. No problem at all. Next up, we actually have the Mad Boar of Mount Hoel. I guess he's heard that his piggy brethren are being fed upon, and he ain't happy about it. He is a 2 cost, 2 red, a 700/300, so a little bit strange there. He has swiftness. He's also got Bloodlust, so it's been a while since we've seen this ability. I believe it was way back, was it in the starter decks for Darkness for vampires? I think it was one of the Onis that had Bloodlust or whatever, which means this card must attack if able. So basically, anytime you enter like attack phase or you have the opportunity to attack, this pig must attack. Like, there's no question about it, it needs to attack. It also has first strike, so whilst attacking, this card deals battle damage first to the blocker or attacked object, which at the bottom here it says they taste pretty good, but you've got to make sure it doesn't kill you first. I mean, it's got some mighty horrible tusks in there and some pretty jagged teeth. I would not be surprised if this thing is a carnivore itself, because this pig is hella mad. Next up, we have the special magic stone for the dragonoids. It is Dragonor. It is a very nice looking one. I wonder if do the dragonoids just have their own, I'm just thinking about this off the top of my head. I wonder if the dragonoids do they just stick to their own or whatever? Because can you imagine if Kirk and Sylvia got together, they made the most badass children ever. They'd have the most majestic, most powerful, awesome dragonoid children ever. It'd be amazing. It'd be power to the Red Clan from all worlds. Anyway, back onto the subject. Treat this card as a fire magic stone. You tap it and produce fire. And when this card enters the field, you put 2 strength counters on your J-Ruler. Fan-dabby-dozy. It does what it says in the tin. And last but not least here, we have the fire magic stone, which again looks really nice. It looks as if there's dragons around it. Is it dragons? Or it looks like maybe it's a flame. And off to the side here, it does look like there's maybe a dragon kind of staring at it or whatever. But it does look really nice. Kind of similar to the last basic magic stone. It kind of looks like a stained glass window effect if you catch my drift. But anyway, guys, that's been the spoilers for today. Sorry that they were a bit later on today. I've been quite busy today. And yes, I know I have not announced the results of the 500 subscriber giveaway. I will be announcing that at the end of this week. I was going to do it last Sunday. Sadly, a couple of things came up or whatever, and I couldn't do it. So I thought, you know what, I'll just leave it open for another week, and we'll just do that. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed these spoilers. I believe mermaids are next week, or the merfolk. So it'll be water spoilers and whatnot. I may be wrong, I may be getting mixed up, but I do believe it is water spoilers next week. So until next time, guys, I will see you all later.